We're going to start. I got a text from Rob and Jim. They said that the library, were you at the library?
I didn't go because
Oh.
it wasn't supposed to involve energy stuff. It was supposed to involve.
Okay. They said it's running late and they might be late. Hey, Doug. So I'm assuming they are late and we will just continue on without them. Get this going for a second.
You look like you need a nap.
I do.
Uh-oh.
House guest visiting the last couple of days. Yeah, early every morning.
You don't do.
You got to watch those house guests, Doug.
And I had to sit around and wait for them. So,
You
Is we talking young children or?
No. For folks, but didn't always know when you want to be prepared.
Yeah.
You want breakfast?
Okay, let's dig in. Rob and Jim will get here when they get here. I don't know how many of you were on the list today from Caleb's Country Store or have been on that thread.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it went to the whole group. So they did get the grant, but email came to them, actually. They got the grant. They're basically going to be installing right away. They expect to be done by mid-October or something like that. And it didn't sound like there was really any opportunity for input from us.
Well, there was some. Wasn't something that could
It
act
was,
on, I guess.
well, yeah, I'm confused. I don't, it seemed to me that there was no point to that exercise, but maybe there was. I told him that he would be welcome to come and talk to us tonight, but he wasn't available. I guess they have another store somewhere in the western part of the state. He was out there. And my comment was, it sounds like this is a done deal. There's really no need for us to address it further. I guess he's already submitted plans to the planning board.
Yeah.
So it's pretty
We
much.
saw him in the Conservation Commission too, some months ago.
Did he come in?
No.
Oh, yeah.
It's just one of the
Yeah,
things.
He did allude to moving the array design stretch to the north end of the property. Sort of bury it as much as possible in the tree line.
No, I think that was the suggestion.
Yeah,
I didn't
I had suggested that, but
I mean, there isn't really room. I mean, without taking out some trees, I think.
Well,
just looking at it.
No, what I had suggested was they actually, rather than go across the parking lot, that they put it closer to the building because the objectionable side is the back.
Yeah, it's true.
but-
It'd be nice to have a
But you
tree on
have
the
to
other
be
side.
careful that the swing, doesn't hit something.
Pinch the back of the building is loading docks and dumpsters, so I feel like
Yeah.
are you not really going to
it's not
detract from
on
that? But anyway,
street.
Yeah, loading trucks.
there's like a thing for trucks to pull up and deliver
Oh,
food and stuff. I went behind and looked at it, and I was like, not like we're preserving something gorgeous back here. So
no, I
Yeah.
think he's well aware of that, but they're going to do it. Or they're going to do it. I'm assuming.
So is he doing that?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
And I can't bring my email up without going through all kinds of machinations.
Yeah.
But he did let us know if anyone's interested in the company that's doing it. He did give us the name. It wasn't someone who's familiar. Imagine someone that specializes in tracking arrays, commercial tracking arrays and that sort. Anyway, that's about it. I did want to have a brief discussion about Arcadia. I have not gotten back to them because I wanted to talk with the group about it. Basically, Leah, you weren't there, but what they're offering is a deal where they give a certain 10% discount off of. After doing some research, I'm pretty sure that it would be the Eversource default rate for us. they wouldn't do it off of our power default rate. It seems as though that's the standard way it's done. The other option that you can, so this, it is a community solar type arrangement. They're basically buying renewable energy credits, and that's how it works. The other mechanism that can be used is the town would purchase a fixed amount of power for a certain price from community solar installation. And it's debatable which is better. I'm more inclined towards the fixed methodology. But fundamentally, I don't think we're that interested because what we're really pursuing is behind the meter solutions.
Yes, it's in the short term.
Yeah,
It's 5 years down.
right. And I mean, the good thing about this would be that they would be promoting a community solar solution somewhere in New Hampshire that would be in Eversource territory, which would be applicable to a broader range of people. That's a good thing from a participation point of view, but I think from the town's perspective, it's not something. But does anyone have something else that they'd like to contribute? If not, I will draft them a letter saying, thank you for the presentation.
Well, we did have a couple questions about actual sites they were looking at. It seemed like there were a few.
They didn't get back to us with any of those. They sort of got back with the general, it was great presenting to you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we did ask them a couple of questions. That was one. I don't remember.
It was kind of like, we'll get back to you. I can't pull it up right now.
Yeah. And I don't believe that they got, do you want me to, I can bring this down and look.
I'm just wondering if you happen to see it, because it was a couple of months ago.
Yeah, we got something right away and we haven't received anything else back. I think they probably got the message. I mean, we told them that we were pursuing behind the meter solutions, and that's probably was their takeaway. They probably knocked this down to the lower tier on the response priority.
Yeah.
So I didn't hear anything else back. But I will. I think that it's a good idea to get back to people. Like they can't. Well,
Didn't sound like they
connected
Yeah.
and presented.
Would
they
it
didn't
make,
seem that familiar with New Hampshire. I mean, there were things that they
would
didn't
it make
know.
sense to ask for an update in a year just to see if anything's changed with their model or?
I don't
I
think
think
so.
we have plenty of options. We don't need to chase more rabbits.
Right. I mean, my hope would be that there will be community solar options available. If we're ever interested in pursuing that for the town, we'll look around then. It shouldn't be too hard to find. I found them. So a friend of mine in Massachusetts was interested, and they can't put panels on their roof. They were interested in the community, at my recommendation, at a community solar solution. And I happened to be down there a few weeks ago, so I was helping her look around on the web for what was available in their area. Arcadia was one. There were a few, but Arcadia was one. It was exactly the same deal. They had spoken to us. So I think at the time that we choose to do a search, it'll be pretty easy to find them. To take any special action, to remind ourselves in a year that and I think we're going to be working on behind the installations for a long time.
Can I ask a quick question about this community power? Not on your agenda, but hopefully it's a quick question. When Barrington went to community power, were the individual, citizens, were they given a notice that they are now part of community power?
Didn't you get a mail?
I didn't, but I figured I wouldn't get one because I'm on my solar system. So
I got one even though I have a solar
I
system.
thought you would get one anyway.
my neighbor didn't get one either. His bill still says direct energy.
Okay, I guess if you are a third party, if you're not going to be opted in, they must not have mailed in. I guess that saves them some effort because it would be confusing to get a mailing. You would sort of automatically assume that you were going to be affected somewhere,
Right.
so they must not have done.
So if you're on direct energy, then you're not part of, right, so Andy, my neighbor, will have to solicit and call NHCPC to get enrolled.
Yes, he would have to opt in. He would-
Yeah,
Well,
I
like-
had to do that, and I don't think my electric bill, it still doesn't say the right thing.
Really?
Yeah, so I think it does take a while to get off of direct energy back to Eversource and then.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so-
Are you off of direct energy at this point?
I have confirmation that I am. I was actually gonna just check in my Eversource account.
Okay, because
See my latest bill, it's changed.
if you opt in, if you've been switched back to Eversource and you opt in, it should happen at the next billing. If you just cancel your contract, that is a quarterly update. So
Yeah,
that
I
can
did,
take-
I did,
Okay,
yeah, I did cancel one and opt in the other.
okay.
So they have to be part of Eversource to opt in,
They have to,
be part of Eversource initially, in order to opt in.
they have to have canceled whatever third-party arrangement. they
So
had.
basically go back to the default, which is Eversource, yeah.
Okay.
Now it says it. So,
Okay.
I'm good.
So I had a different problem that when I got my next bill, which I was pretty sure was within the time frame they suggested, next metering, whatever. It wasn't changed over, it was for uprating to 100%.
Oh,
And it was at the basic. No. So I, waited for the next bill and it was still wrong. So,
did you call them?
yeah, well, I did the online thing and I did
Okay.
get a note saying, adjust this, it may take a while. But just a little frustrating that it
Yeah.
might be 3 months to actually get on.
It will? 3
Well,
months?
I don't know, I'm just saying it's already. been 2
Oh,
months.
because,
So
no.
anyway, I just wonder if other people, and I assume I wasn't in the initial numbers either.
We will, I'll show you. So I missed, something weird happened with the monthly, meeting, at the end of August. It was scheduled and then I got a cancellation notice and it was removed from the calendars. And then I forgot about it and the date went by. I didn't attend. I had wanted to attend because it's very, so I have access through the CPCNH site to some of the call center statistics and they call them the opt statistics, which are for opting out. But there's no guidance on what those numbers mean. And they include it like they're week to week instead of month to month. And it's very clear that they're repeating numbers from the previous week. So I don't know how to interpret things. The monthly meeting, they do a summary of everything, and they correct it and make it understandable. I had wanted to have that for the meeting, but I don't. I apologize for that, but I'll show you what I've got. There'll be one of the statistics.
Hope so. If they corrected
It
it.
doesn't matter, it can't tell that it was you.
Well, I just wonder how many other people have the same problem. It may be we actually have better numbers. What was it, like a dozen or so?
Who opted up?
Seemed
It
like
wasn't
pretty
like
tiny.
It wasn't. I mean, it's probably, if you take all the different tiers, so it's not just 100, it's 50 plus or whatever it is. And if you look across there, there's more than a dozen, but it's not huge.
But while we're on community power.
Okay, we're going down to community power.
No, it's not, I didn't know it was. And
Yeah, no, so,
I just sent around a media thing about communities around the seacoast doing a competition to see who could get the most uprates. I just thought it was kind of relevant to our discussion.
you sent that around, didn't you?
Yeah,
I got your other one. I forgot
Anybody
to
else
put that
remember
one.
seeing it?
I didn't get that.
No,
Yeah, I thought I sent it to them.
You sent it to me. I know I saw that.
Anyway, I'd like to suggest that we at least put it on our list, our news items.
Um,
I mean, obviously Barrington wasn't part of that, but it seems like maybe we
yeah,
ought to.
so you had two items that you wanted added to the website.
Yeah, I don't remember what the other one was.
The other one is the one I have. It's basically a low income solar grant.
Oh,
program.
yeah, right.
There was an article. So, but as long as we're on community power, let me just show you what I've got here. So these are the weekly statistics that I was talking about. Do the most recent one. And I'll go, they do have it broken down into town by town. So you can see that Barrington, this is the total enrollment, number of default. And there's been 91, and I think these are cumulative numbers, but I'm not sure. These are the opt-ins are 91. Most of them are granted basic. So this is probably, Leah, you're probably in this category. You opted in. I don't know if you got granted basic or not. And then an opt-up would be, when you opt in, you would then have to opt out. I don't think you can opt in right away too.
Well, it almost looks like that is an option based on how they separate the information.
Yeah, they seem to split them up. You have to add all those to get the total upgrades.
Because the opt-up seems to be people that
does, you're
were
right.
put into basic and then they opted out. There's people that had to opt in because of third party and they chose one before.
Yeah, this would be the total. But I think that the opt-ups are included in that as well.
Well, does that mean there's only 100 people who stayed with Eversource on purpose with the 3261 and the 3161?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. And those numbers vary. So,
Yeah.
so if you look at, this is what's so confusing about it. So that was the 27th. If you look at, by accident, that's fine. Okay, that's not the one. I did. There was one where the number of people that were enrolled was a few hundred higher. I have no idea. That's what's so confusing about this. I don't know what it is that they're saying, but a little bit easier to understand and more to the point is some of the calls that they're getting at the call center and what they're, the kinds of questions they're getting and what they're answering. So the call topics for Barrington, they sort of lumped everything into general information, but there were account status inquiries, opt-in inquiries, which done that maybe. There's not much traffic.
No.
When
Yeah.
you consider the number of people in town that are enrolled, and this is the total number of interactions for the month, I think it's about 2 weeks. It's not much.
Yeah, that looks like to me, I would interpret that as things are going well if people aren't, because
Right.
people don't want to call, and if they're calling it something.
Well,
I
and
think there's a lot of people who don't.
Have a clue.
But that is another way of saying it's well, right? Like it, as in, there weren't any problems, it was smooth.
Well, and Andy's not on it. He wanted to be on it. And he saw direct energy and didn't get the memo. So like, as his neighbor part of the committee, I should have told him.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that, and so.
I'm going to take an action item on that. I'm kind of surprised that I thought everyone in town was going to get that mail.
That was my understanding. And I assured him, Andy has vital faith in my participation. And you just waited for the number would come.
And in our kind of insider role, I was aware that you needed to be on default to be able to have automatic. I mean, that's the way I understood it. I got off of my contract early so I could be ready to
Yeah.
opt in.
Oh, so you would have gotten the letter as a result.
Did you get the one?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty sure. So something, I
Yeah.
didn't pay a whole lot of attention to that.
Well, because you're right that if people do want to switch over, most people aren't going to know.
Right.
Especially if they can get a letter.
It doesn't
Yeah,
look
that's
like that
fine.
number is very high, though, if the total customers is 3261 and that people who were in it are 3161. So
I don't know that you're interpreting that correctly.
okay.
Sure, that's right. And I, like I said, I don't know exactly what the numbers mean. It's
Okay,
not-
fair
I know there were quite a few third-party people that
There
were
were.
on other contracts.
There were a lot of that. It was,
So,
But maybe
It's
3261
like
is the eligible
I thought it was the
people,
third.
people who are already Eversource or whatever.
right.
no, I mean, to take any meaning out of that, I'd have to go back to the numbers that we got from Eversource, which told us how many people
Yeah.
in town, were on third party, how many were on default. And it's just not. But I am concerned about what that is.
Yeah, so that's no. Because they're likely paying a higher rate at this point, because that's what we know that most of the third parties are not offering.
Right, no,
Six.
the coalition came out with a good rate and, people would be well advised to take care of it. There was an email that went out from a number of people. Clean Energy New Hampshire sent out a mailing. The coalition sent out a mailing. There were some other mailing lists that sent things out. Apparently, the PUC commissioners don't like net metering. And they were considering basically abolishing in the same way they would consider getting rid of New Hampshire sales. So there was a mass action that was initiated to get public comment on that. I did put together a letter and sent it to them for myself, saying who I was and what I wanted. Now, what was a little bit interesting here was Clean Energy New Hampshire took a position that was aligned with the utilities and Conservation Law Foundation, a few other people that basically maintained the status quo for net metering 2.0. There were some changes. They were minor. There was some 20-year limits that were set on some things, but for the most part, it was staying the same. But what they did not want to do was push for what coalition was pushing for, which was to allow net metering customers to use community power and get credit for what they were pushing back into the grid. So the coalition put together an alternate recommendation, and a lot of people, myself included, said basically that what we thought should be passed was a combination of the two. And now it goes into limbo for however long it takes for them to look into it, and we'll see what happens. There were hundreds of comments that had been submitted to the PUC. So there was a large public response, and we'll see what happens. The link to this is on the agenda if you want to read my comments. It's on. It's also on the PUC side if you go there. the basic proposal. They called the agreement that the utilities and the other organizations agreed to the proposed settlement agreement. That left out the coalition comments. And, it was basically maintain the current tariff. The term was increased to a period of 20 years. There will now be application fees, and I believe this applies to everyone. So that means that your small systems will now have to pay a $200 fee to PUC to be considered, I believe.
$200 once or two?
Just once. Just once. It's the application. And then there was some mention of time of use rate proposals. After 2 years, utilities will propose new net metering time of use rates. Well, I think it would be a cold day in hell before Eversource does that, given that they will have to replace meters.
Oh, is that why they don't do it now?
Well, there's a lot of reasons, but they can't do it because they cheaped out on the meter replacements about 8 years ago.
Because don't most, am I correct, most states, there's different rates at different times, right?
Most states have meters that are capable of doing that, whether they're doing it now or not. It is being done in some places, but I wouldn't feel comfortable saying it's generally used in other regions. It is in some places. And the time of use rate proposals, that's also coming from CPCNH. I didn't include their blurb in here, reading my email. It's in there. That was all I had for community, for coalition. Anyone else have anything? Okay. I was supposed to do the minutes and I forgot and didn't do them. I actually will do them in hindsight because we need to document what Arcadia presented to us to say, not in detail, but at least to get it in there. That was, a third-party presentation. I think it's important to get that in there. Okay, moving on to old business. Any updates on Stratford Cap?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly when, maybe a couple of weeks ago, I reached out to Betsy, who's one of the two people who came and spoke to us, the sort of head boss lady. And she said, I'm on it, I'm working on it, I have a bunch of things to do, I will get back to you soon. She wanted to look into, I think, the more like nitty-gritty details of the grant that she was going to, right?
Just to be clear, have you contacted her so that we wanted to put together that meeting?
Yes, and she said, please let me do this background research first. And then I followed up with her and she said, I'm still working on it. And I followed up with her again, but it was almost yesterday and I haven't heard back. I think she's busy and she's working on it. It's the long and short of it.
Okay. Any word from Katrina? Just that she.
We're all waiting on Betsy.
And I just think the regional meeting and
We're waiting on Betsy,
Okay.
but she's writing the grant, so
Yeah.
I mean, I think we kind of have to.
and I wanted yesterday.
I know.
Yeah. No.
But there's been some forward progress, so
No, I'm sure there's homework that she has to do. I hope she doesn't try to complete the grant before she talks to Barrington and Lee.
Oh, I don't think it's that at all. I think it's more like she wanted to research if other towns had done it as a partnership, like she's proposing. And to be honest, I can't remember all the things she said she wanted to check into, but they sounded very. What I do recall is they sounded very legit.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And that was
They're procedurally oriented, yeah. I mean, it's all crossing T's and dotting I's.
Yeah.
In their world, that's.
Okay, very good. How about on the heat pump stuff from Peter?
So I had sort of made a summary to you guys last month about what we learned from them, and I haven't taken any action since then. I was waiting for maybe, and the one action item we had was maybe to do some additional training for Jim, who's not here right now.
He just wrapped
Oh,
up.
there he is. Hey, Jim.
Hello.
That was the one action item I recall we discussed.
Which was,
When I presented the information that we heard from when we spoke to the Peterborough people, I sort of just gave a summary of all the things they talked to us about, and the only thing I remember the group sort of saying we might want to do was offer some additional training to any town employee who wanted it, as opposed to trying to get a Peterborough had gotten a energy. I can't remember what they call that person's
Yeah.
title, but and that
Designated position.
yeah, they made a position for energy in the town, and that person did pay their whole salary. You remember what the timeline was? I have it in my notes somewhere.
I
But
say
it was under a year
Yeah.
by finding cost savings for the town. But I believe the discussion we had was that probably wasn't going to fly here, but perhaps some additional training like Rewire America, which is a free training, might be something that Jim, we're sort of talking about you right now. Be interested in doing.
I saw my name on the agenda.
I think the conversation was that it was unlikely that the town was going to put another employee in place, because that's a big decision for this town to make, and that this may fall under the purview of what Jim would be responsible for.
Yeah, that's what I recall as well. I thought perhaps one selling point was that this energy coordinator for the town of Peterborough did justify her salary in under a year.
That's a tremendous payback.
But I hear you.
Yeah, they're looking at a position for conservation and trails and things like that too. Perhaps something like, natural resources of energy could be kind of split.
Well, and that was not to be a full-time position.
Right,
So
that's
that could be something that would be considered. But remember that the funding for that was going to come out of the funds that
Yeah,
from
so
the
I think
conservation.
it would be tied into what they're actually doing. Obviously.
Right.
They're split
Sure.
between
Sure.
the program.
But we don't have
I know.
any funds to pay for that.
Right, but the town did, and they valued it enough to do
Yeah.
something for energy
Yeah,
efficiency.
it's possible.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess it seems to me like we could at least consider approaching the town about it.
Yes.
Like they can certainly say no. I mean,
Is there any information that you can get from Peterborough on the job description of this?
I'm sure I can get a job description. The salary's probably public.
No, I don't care about the salary.
Okay. And I remember them telling us where they got the person from,
That would
And-
be useful.
and I can also find out for sure how long it took her to have her.
If
It's
you
either
could
9
get
months,
some
7 months.
indication of where the cost savings would be,
Sure.
that would be really useful.
And going back to the training piece, she was emphatic that that was well received, well supported by the local industry. In terms of finding people who knew how to install heat pumps and that whole, subspecialty of the HVAC world. And she said it paid for itself, and that really gave the program a good public face.
Is that the training we're talking about, the heat pump installation training? I wouldn't have thought.
Sorry, I was writing down what I was about to do, so I missed what
Well,
you
that is
said.
somewhere, yes. The heat pump, the training they gave the guys, the installation guys.
So they weren't actually. Was that up and running yet, or was that they were partnering with their community college, right?
Or the department, but they also said it was up and running.
Okay.
But I'm thinking of the training for the town for this administrator. Or,
Well, so the only training we talked about that I recall was that Rewire America program is free. You commented, I believe, that you didn't garnish my shoulda because you already knew it, but I don't think I would know much about it. I would do it, but it's a free program, so that's nice. And I believe you'd said that perhaps, some other town employees might be interested in that too. I mean, it's certainly something we could offer.
Are you familiar with the one?
Nope.
You may want to look it up online and see what they offer.
Paul, is there any way you could send a link? Because I looked up Rewire America and I found their like general website, but I couldn't find the like training program. And I put it on. Yeah, that'd be great. I wasn't able to find the free training program with a quick search. And can you just remind me what you said you wanted the information on for
Let me see
Peterborough?
if I have a login. I don't recall if I do.
There's a job description.
Yeah.
Where did the cost savings come from?
You did find their site, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I couldn't find and here's our class.
They may not have a class as such. It's probably self-guided tutorials.
Couldn't even find that though. So,
Okay.
4-week cohort-based training.
there we go. That's probably it.
What took you so long?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Do you have
Send
where
us the
the
link.
town person?
Yes, and job description and where
Who's
we
that?
got the
Rewiring
cost savings from. Was there
America.org.
anything else or was that it? Okay, thank you. Otherwise, that'll be lost forever.
Send you a link. That's gonna be tough.
Well, don't worry about it. If I can't find it,
But I wanna-
don't lose it.
Yeah.
But you look into that,
Came up-
see if it's of interest.
Rewiring America, it came up electric coaches first, when I asked about training programs, so.
Okay.
So, qualifications, courses, so it seems to be, pretty easy to get hold of it.
Take a look at it and see what you think, see if
Yeah.
it's applicable. And see if you think it will file.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a 4-week course.
Yeah, that's what that was what I was told about by the Peterborough people, and what I would be interested in doing it too if I can be as successful as finding it as you were.
And I'll look at it because, to be honest, I don't remember what they were. Interesting. And this may be something, my recollection was that it was very much homeowner or. And yeah, that actually may be something that would be worth putting on our website for interested in.
This is the website we're talking about, right?
I believe so.
I'm seeing a lot of stuff about like schools.
Oh, so they do have a commercial and municipal.
I'm a local leader for electrification.
Cindy, are you looking at the training program, train for installers?
No,
Not yet.
we would need the group to decide that we wanted to.
We need to be moving on. I mean, we have to have decided that we're gonna have a program.
Right. Yeah, and
Well, I wasn't advocating we jump out of the gate on it right now, but rather that that's part of the options that they were very keen on. And
if I remember their timeline correctly, their first step was getting that warrant article passed that everybody in the town sort of had the buy-in that we're gonna do this thing where we're gonna electrify the town by whatever date it was.
Yeah.
And it was gonna start with a municipal, and then in that warrant there was gonna be a plan written of how to get there within some relatively short time period, 1 or 2 years. Then they've written the plan since then. And they partnered with that school.
Right.
Because
they knew they needed more installers and they're gonna
Yes.
reach that point.
Yeah, and they've
Right,
started
that's the
doing
point.
some electrification of the town buildings, but not like, maybe they had a beta program for some homeowners too, but I think that's where they were. And they're like 4 or 5 years into it, so.
Yeah, okay, so I mean, we have to learn what they're doing. We're not even starting. So we have to figure out how to take the first steps.
So their first step was that warrant article, and I had tossed out the idea of, perhaps we should consider a warrant article with that was slightly less aggressive.
Yes.
I think that the thing that I liked about the warrant article was it demonstrates, or maybe it doesn't in our case, but it potentially demonstrates, 50% of the town wants to go in this direction.
Could
Or
you,
60%.
can you get a copy of their warrant article for us to look at?
Yeah, it's actually on their website, but sure.
Was this basically setting a goal for?
And people used to having that goal.
So the
I'm saying
warrant
you're not
article
the
was
only town that's done that.
Right.
the warrant article was something along the lines of the town of Peterborough will have renewable energy for everything by
Yes.
this year, and
So that was 100% goal.
yeah. I'll
I'm
get you the one.
aware that several other towns,
Oh,
cities
sure.
have said.
Yeah, the only reason I reached out to them is they were on NPR and I heard about it. You
Yeah,
know,
no, I mean, they're probably the
uh,
better. I mean, I knew somebody from there, so been at the forefront. But
Right.
I'm just saying there may be other models or other suggestions.
Yeah, because that will be very difficult to get to fly. That.
So, yeah, I mean, that's why I said more modest, like maybe we could have a warrant article that town people support the idea of PV on municipal buildings where it works or something. I mean, you could go way lower as far as what you were reaching for, but the appeal to me was that one of the arguments I hear sometimes when I'm talking to various people in the town administration as well, there's a lot of people who don't like solar. Well, I mean, do we know that?
Community power was the most popular warrant.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that's true.
That's,
I haven't ever heard a general comment like
I have
this.
a lot.
Really.
Yes.
yeah, there've been comments, but I
That's the reason we don't have it on the
I don't know
library
if I
right
can
now.
cite a specific poll, but I'm pretty sure that it's, whether it's,
There are
addressing
certainly
climate, reducing.
individuals in town.
Yeah.
So, but the problem is that there are people in the town government who believe that there's enough people who don't like solar that supporting it is a political hazard.
Right?
Or at least that's been communicated to me.
Yeah, I mean, it was thought, I know, with the library budget, because they really wanted the library to pass, and they were trying to get the budget down as low as they could.
Yeah.
Not putting solar on that was going to keep it lower, and not putting solar was going to perhaps help stave off any offense to people who don't like solar.
And certainly the perception is that it's gotta cost more to put solar on, even if they're not.
Save you money,
yeah.
Which
But
it
there
does
was a
in the short-
petition 10 years ago. Had
Yeah, but this is
25
right. No,
signatures. So
right.
it's not
I know
zero.
it is 10 years ago, and
And
there are
it
certainly
failed
still
when it
people
was-
that feel that way.
Oh, yeah, but they're a minority. I mean, my point is that
Right.
when it actually was on the warrant article, even though it didn't matter at that point because the project had been wrecked. So I recall the majority of the voters actually voted against it.
Right. No, I mean, I think if we take the attitude that the general population is going to be opposed to anything that we want to do, then we might as well just disband the group and give up. I think what would be more appropriate is to try and model a statement to something that would be acceptable to the town. Now, that may be that we are looking for a goal of 100%, but the time frame for that could be quite a ways off. You could also set a goal of short of 100%.
Or I think, so there was like 100% by 2050. I actually think maybe a slightly less auspicious timeline, like in 5 years. And I'm just pulling numbers out of my head right now, but like in 5 years, you get to 10%, or in 5 years, you get 40% of the municipal buildings having some renewal, something like that.
When we talk about the town being, a certain percent electrified. Is that talk only referring to the municipal buildings?
Well, in the warrant article, they're talking about all the buildings.
Yeah, you're good.
They're talking residential, commercial.
Everything.
Okay.
I wonder if we're, what's the potential data point? On the data you had about CPCNA, how many people were opting out because they already had solar or whatever? I wonder if we could find out just how many people are right now buying solar. Even though they may not have a system themselves, but they buy solar. So there's one would assume.
What do you mean by solar?
Well, they're opting for sustainable renewable
Yeah,
energy.
Oh,
well, we know those.
You mean within the coalition?
Right,
Oh, those numbers are down,
right. So we know those people are supportive of the
but
project.
it's very small.
Yeah, it's the problem. It's
Yeah,
voluntary.
that number's not.
We're not exactly encouraging, was my original point.
Yeah.
Neither is the coalition. I mean, I was kind of annoyed that when Henry was speaking, he barely, they won't use the word climate forever.
No, I think they want to learn to walk before.
Yeah, I kind of get that. So I'm saying at some point. we need to be sort of,
But Matt, what was your point? I know.
Well, I was looking for data about our town. So we're making these assumptions that
Oh,
the town would not be supportive, where Barrington is changing. Maybe glacially, but it is changing. And so I wonder if in fact there's more support out there than we're aware of. And people get involved in their own lives.
I don't know how to find that.
And that's why I was looking to do a data mine on.
Yeah, that's not gonna
I think if you avoid quantifying and saying a goal of a certain percentage, and you start off with a warrant article that is basically like a vision statement that says, we, the people of Barrington, support finding alternative energy sources that save the town money and helps preserve our natural resources, something to that effect. They can all get behind that, and if they do, in the overwhelming numbers, that gives the town officials and people more permission to pursue projects and stuff to do that.
Well, there was a non-binding general kind of thing, I don't know how many years ago now, it's probably quite a few, that passed, that did say, and it was, I think, aiming at the national level. It was part of a campaign to get as many towns, cities on board. I think I know sponsored it, it was a citizen petition, but it did pass. It didn't have a date certain. But, as a general concept, I think we can go back and look at the figures and say,
and
back
tailor
then,
it for local.
59% thought it was okay.
And that could get you the data, Matt, for like how many people support it and there's a vote.
In addition to this one I mentioned, remember that if this petition against it was voted down, so presumably the people that voted it down thought it was an okay idea to have the town pursue. That was specific to getting solar on some town
Can you
building.
try and dig that up?
Well, I guess I don't know if I guess it's all some archived somewhere. All the town votes.
I'm sure that someone in the town administration will know how to find it.
I mean, Jack Bingham he was doing the project, so he probably has it. They were trying to get solar on town
Was
buildings.
this
Remember
related
this
to
was-
that?
Yeah, it was specific to that. And these were idiots
Oh, you just said it was a
He
national.
wrote, didn't want us to look at solar.
Doug, you just said it was a general statement of desire on a national basis.
So I'm talking about two different.
Okay, well, the one I'm talking about is that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I know it was in the last 10 years. I guess we could just go back
Remember
each
it.
year and find it. Yeah.
Is there interest from the school system? I know they're looking at the buses, electric buses. but
There is very little interest from the school system in anything as far as I
Well,
can tell.
I talked about it informally with the superintendent. I mean, for what it's worth, she's a head person.
So-
She liked the idea.
She
That's
likes-
not saying.
She likes all the ideas. She was present for the first meeting and I never saw her. I have included, we'll get to the essay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they had other things pressing
Well, so
agenda. but-
another, after the discussion we've had with what Peterborough did, and it's maybe lofty in here and maybe 10 years ahead of where we are. But it seems like they have something in place where there's a lot of sort of free content, if nothing else, for us to look at. And, perhaps if it's not a warrant article, maybe it's even something as simple as a survey at the voting day, on November 5th, of what would you like to see the energy committee do for the town, and give them a bunch of choices. Maybe one of them is like electrify the school buses. And if, 500 people check that off, at least, like, I think we need to build a little,
That's a good
capital.
idea.
And be able to say, this is what the town wants us to do. Because I feel like all we have are these vague impressions at this point, and we don't have like actual data.
And I would support that concept, but in each one of those, in terms of goals, there has to be something actionable about it. So if people check that off and check it off in large enough numbers, then we actually know what to do. We actually walk and make something happen.
I disagree. I don't think there has to be anything actionable. I think a survey is a good idea to get a sense of what direction the town will support. From there, we can try and figure out what we want to do. But I don't think there's anything directly actionable. And furthermore, I don't think that we can rely on something like a survey at the table, because there's just not enough people
Yeah,
to
that's
come
fair.
by. I would propose that we use the funds that we have available to do a mailing for a survey like of that sort.
We should just quickly ask Connor what the return rates on those are, because I think the town's done that.
Yeah, for the master plan, I know there were. It was a
How
survey.
did they didn't do any mailings for that, did they?
I was gonna say, I remember that being online survey.
Yeah, it was online,
Um,
but they were also at the polls.
Well,
that was
so
there.
I mean, I think as gathering some information about what the public wants us to do, I think is important. I don't know that I know what the right methodology is there. I think if we posted a meeting, you get 2 people. When you had a captive audience, you had a captive audience at voting day, and when we did surveys for the library, there's sort of different styles of volunteers. Some of them just sat there and hoped somebody came up to them. Others, like me, said, here's a QR code, scan it on your phone and tell us what you want, and I think you can get a fair number of people that way. You kind of have to insert yourself into things, or you can't just be passive.
Separate mailing, I don't think would work, but the town does mailings twice a year when they send up tax bills.
Yes.
And they have a 1-page info sheet that people really responded to, really appreciate all the information about taxes. You could put a QR code. You can take the energy survey.
When is that coming out, Rob?
Next time taxes are.
December.
So,
And it might be worth doing a survey at the voting day, just to get an idea of what has any interest. I don't know, but
I mean, these are the voters,
Yeah.
by definition, they're the people that are most active in town. And even if you only get 10% of them, it's not a formal poll. It's,
Yeah,
But it's something, it's
my
some kind of
problem is
feedback.
that I think the number of people who come to the table is far
Yeah,
less than
well,
even
sure,
that.
of course.
Oh, so,
Even if you
I mean,
hang.
I wouldn't suggest that or at least if it were me, I would not sit passively at the table, because you're going to get nobody.
Yeah,
I got
that's
you.
always the case.
Hi.
Yeah.
Oh, would you please take our survey?
Yeah.
You can just scan it on your QR code. You don't have to do it now. It's 5
That's what we did
questions.
with the library,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
It's always gonna be a small segment of general
yeah,
public,
it'll
but
be indicative, I
it gives
guess.
you some sense, more than us sitting around saying, oh, I think this will work.
Yeah, and we want to know what you want.
What we know from talking with the town folks, public service building, 2 chiefs were pro solar. Not so much from the rec center, not the rec center, but the recycling center. They were a bit standoffish about it. And at the time that this building was thought to have been constructed in a way that was conducive to solar, but 6 months later, the
I
Council
already put
voted
it,
to
yeah.
put solar on.
Right, right. Well, I mean, the town administration is certainly supportive. I
Yeah.
mean, that is the good part of it. It's definitely true. So I think that, the two ideas that I'm hearing that I think are good are, put something together for that town mailing when it goes out. And, I hear you volunteering to be aggressive at the table on
You
election.
can count on it.
Um,
I used to do this all the time.
Okay, well, like I said, I dislike doing that kind of stuff intensely.
No problem, I got you.
But let's put together a survey that, let's put together the questions that we want to have on there, the topics that we want to bring up. And I think you're right. We need to give people a list to select from.
Yeah.
We can't just sort of broad brush say, what do you want us to
Yeah,
do?
no.
I think you can leave one line like
Yeah, other.
other and,
suggestions.
whatever, but, because you might get one.
Generally, people
idea
want
that's
to
good.
pick from a list.
Yeah.
And I'd give them multiple choices, top 3 out of
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
Because, we don't want to just do one
Prioritize, yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
Well, then, it gets hard if they have to prioritize the list. You don't really know how they
Yeah.
feel about
They're
any
just
one,
check
but how's
offs.
them rank, right? So 1 to 4, 4 being I strongly support, I don't support.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then each of them.
Yeah.
that's a good idea, yeah. So who's putting together this, sir?
For the next meeting, please, everyone put together some items that you think that should go on the list and we will collate them and put something
You should
together.
probably keep it brief. Like you can get a lot more if you say it's only a 5-question survey.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's not that many things that we're considering doing.
Right,
So,
it's not
we
like
can
we're
cer-
gonna-
Yeah, we can certainly add to them if we think.
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
something, But, we don't have a list as long as your arm, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's have that for the next meeting and we will get that done in time to have it on the mailing and have it at the table. The table was one of the items that we
And I
needed to
feel like,
discuss.
you're probably the person to ask, I think. Can you make the magical QR code?
Oh, I think Paul made it last time.
Oh, okay.
QR codes are easy.
I'm happy to help.
Someone can do that magical stuff, yeah.
Some of those.
Which platform do we want to use? Do we use like Qualtrics or SurveyMonkey? We have to figure out which platform we want to use.
Yeah, and I'm happy to actually make it, but I didn't know if that town one, is there something the town uses with survey platform?
I don't know if they have a subscription to Qualtrics or something.
Qualtrics.
We should probably check with
Yeah.
Connor.
Yeah, I think with the master plan, they work through the Stratford Planning Commission.
Right.
They might have something there.
The library conducted a survey too. I'm not sure what platform they use.
Check with Connor to see if there's a platform. It would be easy for us to look into. So for that though, you're thinking that would be access to the town website.
Yeah, or other.
How do we-
Options.
The other thing is, who's doing this for the master plan?
Saying it was done a year ago or something.
By Stratford?
Yeah, but with the town, obviously supporting it. Maybe it's possible I'm mixing up with the library, but I'm pretty sure we also had a thing going on at the town vote.
I'll talk to Connor about this generally and see what he has to say. And we can start it and get back to you. Okay. Quick words about the town hall solar installation. There has been a snag. If you look at the sort of dormer for the other entrance, you'll notice that the array extends right out to the edge of the roof. That is not according to code. Code requires that the fire department have a path of, I don't know how many inches wide, but all around the the components of the array. So in each individual section, you have to have a path that they can go up. Jack knew when he put this up, they were trying to get as many panels in as they could. He knew that they were not, that they weren't abiding by that. And he was going to talk to Rick about getting permission to do that. There was miscommunication. I don't know what happened. It never got done. Once it was all up, someone wasn't happy. I'm not sure who. I don't know if it was Rick. It wasn't clear who had said what. There's lots of this going on. And the long and short of it was that it needs to go to the state fire marshal for a waiver for it to be turned on. Jack, I don't know what Jack did in that direction, but it wasn't moving. Connor ended up filling out all the forms, getting in touch with the state, having the inspector come over. Apparently Jack met her when she was here. And that is currently in process. She spoke with Rick Walker. Hopefully everyone has agreed that, because of the style of the building, this is not an issue. It's one story. It's, just an entrance roof. And hopefully that will be cleared up in short order. So obviously the press release and the photo op is being pushed off as a result. We're tentatively hoping that that will happen before the October select board meeting. I'm going to be gone for the second half of September, and I'll be gone until October 2nd. When I get back, I'll talk to Connor about where we are, and I'll get an email off to everyone to let you know if we're going to do it on the 7th.
So that would be like 6:30 p.m. if it was then.
What time are the select board meetings?
6:30.
It would be before that, so it would be like 6.
Okay.
So we'll have a meeting before.
Yes.
I will be back one day. So it's going to be a quick meeting. On that note, I am taking the action of canceling the September 19th meeting since I will not be. Okay. Unless anyone else wants to run the meeting, which I would be happy to have happen.
I'm not gonna be here either.
Okay, back to wherever we were. The election day table presentation. I think having part of it dedicated to this survey is a great idea. We should have something about community power. We probably, for the election, we should also have some, whatever goes out for the press release for the solar array town hall. We should publicize that. Anyone else have any thoughts on what we might want to do on that?
The upcoming rates, the new rates or something, right? It is cheaper than the Eversource rate, and so showing something about what they're headed into this winter and the rates, how they differ.
It'd be nice to at least have a
Put
comparison,
a board with the
Yeah.
rates
and
and,
just the numbers,
Sure.
how much you save per month.
yeah, yeah.
And I suppose maybe if anybody says, oh, hey, I didn't hear about that and I want to sign up for it. Just having a way to direct them to do that.
Yeah.
If they didn't hear about it, they were automatically signed up.
Well, so like.
As we heard today.
Yeah, so,
Were you here for what Matt said? No. Oh, so Matt was on a third-party provider.
Well, no, it was a friend of his.
Oh, that's right. It was so he has a friend who was getting power from a third-party provider. And he never heard of it. So that mailing apparently did not go out to people who are not on default Eversource power. And I'm not sure
Well, I
that's
wouldn't, I
right.
wouldn't say that. I mean, I got one, Doug got one, we're both on third party, I think.
Well, no, I wasn't.
Oh, you weren't.
Well, so I
did.
also think it's
But you
hard.
were.
So I mean, I used to send bright reminder cards from my business or post due for ratings, and people would say they didn't get them.
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, he may have just thrown it out.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth checking with
Right,
Henry
right.
and making sure
Yeah.
that they were supposed to get it at any.
And even if they did, let's do it again. I mean, you know, to rely on one mailing to solve. the
Well,
problem.
We don't have.
Yeah, I
mean,
know
it's
we're not gonna do
it's
it
the
at the mailing.
coalition. It's the coalition that would do it.
Yeah, but I'm saying we could have the information at the table.
Yeah, just somebody,
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
goes, hey, I want to sign up for that, or I'm not sure I'm signed up for that. Here's, it's just, if somebody can just write down, I just hand out the QR code, but somebody can just write down for me what to do if they're not.
If, I don't think the coalition has a QR code for those sites. I see, let me,
Well, is,
There's the general brochure about community power, right? It's probably updated now since there's more communities and they have that nice map. We
Can we
probably
just get some of those?
just have some of those brochures like we used to hand out.
yeah,
isn't the link through our website, or do you go to Barrington Energy Committee? Get there?
Yeah, we have there's the Barrington Community Power site.
Is that where they need to go to do a
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
creator opt-in?
well, wait, are you talking about the town site or?
I'm talking the
CPC?
Community Power
Okay.
Barrington site.
Okay, yeah. Do we have a link to that from our website? We
Thanks in a
do.
couple.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
pretty sure that's how I got there.
can we create, I mean, I would like to have a QR code for people to use if they could do that.
That's easy. Giving QR codes are simple.
Yeah, but can you just do one for an arbitrary site?
Yeah, any site.
Okay,
It goes right to the H.
And we could just have the, you know, the
Yeah, and also
address
the
for
URL.
the folks that.
oh, we will have all that, Doug.
Yeah.
Doug, I know you are a Luddite, but.
I'm like,
There's a whole generation of people
Yeah,
who want
yeah,
to
of
take their
course. Oh,
phone.
I know. We've done it, you know.
I don't do it either, but a lot of people
Oh, yeah,
do.
but a lot of people don't, and those may be the things.
No,
people that didn't get the.
do you have any smoke signals? Because that would really work for me.
I like paper, the paper
Yeah.
handouts.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the town actually probably has a bunch of handouts lying around that were never used. They keep getting deliveries of handouts, which I never see.
No one else does either, apparently.
There's a
Because a bunch of the
posters and there's a wall
There's a bunch
hanging
of the
and there's all kinds of crap.
Jim, did you say there's a
Yeah.
bunch in the
I
meeting?
think there's some meeting,
In like the select board meeting?
the regular selectmen's meeting, I think there's some handouts on the table.
Do you want me to just run down there and look?
Yeah,
Yeah, you could go that way.
here, let me give you the card. You might need a card.
You won't need a con, I don't think that door's locked.
It's not.
Okay.
Very secure.
Well, I heard it was supposed to be locked, but it doesn't get locked. Yeah, this
I'm
came
not
out.
gonna tell anyone.
And I think it would be good to have information about how you can voluntarily upgrade and save the planet if you choose.
Yes.
You know, some
Yeah.
people, and the
Yeah.
people that are gonna come to the table are obviously self-selected if they have a thing about energy.
I am
So, and I've been, you know, I was trying to get Henry to speak to this and to, you know, cough
I know.
up some handouts, because it should be generic. We shouldn't have to create our own. I mean,
Yeah, I was just browsing, to see if they're already
yeah, I
existing.
didn't think there were, I mean, as of several months ago.
Just don't mention windmills because they break them.
Yeah, right, and they cause cancer, and they kill whales.
No.
But that's not, again, that's not necessarily need to be said.
Some braking mechanism went on it and it was going so fast that the props flew off.
No, it was, yeah, it's one
I know.
turbine out of
Yeah, I
thousands.
know.
I mean, things break, you know, how many cars have
Yeah,
caught
that's-
fire? Oh, we should get rid of cars. You know.
Like Tesla's, like, gonna have 4 or 5 fire trucks, put one out.
Yeah, I've heard that from my nephew who's a fireman, and he says that the world was gonna come to an end when we go electric, because you
Yeah.
can't figure out how,
We have
Like,
Stratford.
there are ways to put out fires, but it's dumping water on them.
Yeah,
So,
I had to bring up my email, which means I have to stop sharing. Well, destroy the world. Okay, so here is what you had sent out, Doug. You want to give us a quick summary?
well, it's just, it's 5 communities. It's like the usual suspects, Portsmouth, Dover, Durham. 5.
New market.
Market,
Back
right?
there.
Yeah, Exeter, sorry. Not right, I guess. Anyway, somehow or other, they got together and decided they would do this competition to see who could sign up the most uprates. And it seemed like kind of a neat thing, you know, and it's like, well, Barrington's not there, obviously, yeah, there we go.
Yes, those might be ancient. These are
Yeah.
probably-
Coming June 2024, so it's not ancient.
We're now- Yeah, that's
Put a sticker.
before.
Yeah.
These.
Well, That's their.
June
They're all-
2024. June
But it's
24.
still useful information.
Look, it has a QR code.
It's not our QR.
Is it not our QR code? Probably not.
Community
Oh,
college.
what's this coming? Wasn't that our, the top there?
Well,
It's not QR.
That's the general.
we can ask Henry if he has an updated general.
Yeah.
I'd like one that goes to the Barrington.
It does. That does go there.
Oh, it does.
Woohoo!
Yeah, see what she
We're
did?
recycling.
It's not a QR. You just get a little sticker. with QR code.
Well, okay, that's good to know.
That side.
Yeah, certainly
Just
not
cut
doing
that.
good. So I don't know if people come.
Are these all the same or is it so different? How do they sell this?
Yeah,
I grabbed them at a previous.
yeah,
Thought
totally.
planning
To the
board.
great place.
It is, yeah, because it is specific to Barrington.
Yeah, it is.
The whole card
Yeah.
is specific.
I mean, honestly, I think we can use this.
Yeah,
Fine.
yeah, this should be
Now,
fine.
it's out of date.
Yeah.
QR code.
Right.
Yeah, no, for
Problem.
what's there, it's fine. We don't have rate of certain things like
Free.
that. So Doug, how were they going to go about this?
It didn't have a lot of specifics. I think we'd have to contact one, if we wanted to get in on. I think the deal is it's through January to the next rate changing.
Yeah, it said through January 2025, so.
Yeah, expect it's somewhat informal, but obviously somebody must be putting together materials. Talk it up.
Is there a reference in the article that says like so-and-so is heading this up or whatever? Because that's how I got to Peterborough. I just called them after that. Joe Martina?
One thing that's for new market.
I would think,
There's no
Portsmouth or
information.
Dover would have, staff. Speaking of people working on energy,
Mhm.
I happen to know the environmental planner in Portsmouth. I have something to do with it.
It would be good to know, I'll reach out to, some of the people from the coalition and see, like Joe Lamatina, I can get his contact information. There's no one else, and I can call Lisa Sweet.
It's interesting that she's from Rye,
She's from that, so she's not one of the towns.
I might know about it.
She probably, she's in charge of community outreach for the coalition, so she would
Okay.
probably be tied into whatever. they do. Okay,
I mean, again, it may be to bridge too far for Barrington, but it seems like since it's already happening.
One of the survey questions would be.
Yeah.
Were you aware that you can upgrade your, unit to reading box? That informs them they have that option.
Yeah,
we also know if they knew about it.
What's new with the library rec center stuff?
Good news is that the rec center grant, we were able to get permission to extend the
Really?
deadlines, so we don't have that
That's
time
great.
pressure anymore
Wow,
for moving. So
that's real, that's huge.
it's huge. It's good for everybody. And
They were so adamant that they weren't gonna do that.
well, there was, I think it was political. There was just kind of jockeying, but like I think everybody's kind of hopeful that it'll settle.
Good,
Reason
Good. That's terrific. And
Okay,
anything
great.
else?
Maybe give a little update, or do you have?
Yeah, we were just at the building committee meeting.
Yeah.
And, you know, the design plans and everything was moving along quickly. They hope to have, an open house the end of next week, perhaps, for contractors who are bidding on the subcontracts like electrical and, you know, painting, you know, some of the interior kinds of things. And they want to have bids submitted and go through accepting the choosing process like 30th.
Yeah.
30th.
30th of September.
So the beginning of October, the building general contractor will bring to the committee their recommendation on the bid process. So that will be for October
10.
10th. They're still working on figuring out grants for solar. I still want to try to figure
I
out
can have
that.
some updates on that if you
Yeah,
want.
no, that's basically.
Yeah, they said they applied for some grants or are applying for some grants.
We have identified, we've already applied for some and gotten nixed on some, but we've found $130,000 more to apply for, and we only need about, just gonna give you guys the number here, but.
Sorry, Rob, what was the deadline? You said that was extended.
The construction.
Oh, for the construction of the rec center,
Yeah.
there was a deadline to use the funds,
Gotcha, okay.
but that's been extended so that we don't have to kick the library out.
Yeah.
Has it been extended by a certain amount or is
A
it?
year.
A year.
definite? A year.
Yeah.
That's good.
So
Plenty of
Yeah.
the total cost of the PD project is $175,000, and with rebates, pledges, and other donations, we're down to about 50,000, and we've identified $130,000 of grants to apply for. So,
So the
Well,
net
you said we're
cost
down
was-
to 50?
50,000 that needs to be fundraised,
Oh, okay.
yet to be raised.
Mhm.
So, and we've identified 130,000 grants to be applied for, and we have a professional grant writer reviewing some of them too. So, I'm optimistic we can get there before the completion date of it.
Which isn't a drop dead date in any case, right?
They're trying to shoot for June of next year.
The initial installation price that was for the installation, is that high?
It's a pretty big
Good system.
system. Because it's all heating, all cooling. Well, it's not, it's 80% of.
It's a 65 kilowatt system, so it's more than twice what the system,
And what was the cost of this?
90,000.
something.
You're around 100.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So, and this is more than double that.
Yeah, okay.
It's pretty good value, actually.
But it's roof and ground mount.
It's roof and ground, yeah.
Yeah. So-
Not tracking, just
Yeah.
static ground mount, yeah.
Regarding the ground, there's been some possible movement. I think you guys know, they want to make like a road in the library that connects behind
Like the Christmas stuff area, yeah.
right, to make a circular kind of town center.
Yeah.
Is that ground mount going to be in the way?
No, it's on that far side of the
Okay.
parking.
Yeah.
Well, the road they're talking about is coming in on the north side, right?
I don't know.
It is.
Well, so there's
I've heard
different,
rumors, so I don't know exactly.
so
what's
there's a,
happening.
there's a part of the property that could connect to the Christmas stuff that's on the library property. We haven't had the closing date, but.
Yeah.
And then there's also a right of way to the north of where they want to put the ground mounts that I don't know anything about it other than there's a right of way there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
To the north, because they're on the
This-
north end of the.
it's all
Well,
good
so
in there,
just
so I don't
beyond the
know.
property is a right of way owned by somebody else and I don't know anything about it other
Barrington
than,
Pines Development,
okay,
Which is,
Charlie Marino.
that sounds right. I didn't know. But anyway, there's someone else beyond the library property owns a right of way that could be connected as well.
It's a shared, well, on paper, it's a shared road. Half on the town's, what the town's buying, half on.
Oh, okay, my
On
bad. Yeah.
Charlie's, yeah. So it puts it awful close to the solar panels and, because Charlie's already said that we could put it as close to the lot line as we want to.
Yeah.
Charlie and Jack and I took a walk through there and talked
Okay.
with them.
Yep. So I think there's no concern of not being able to do it, is my understanding anyway.
Okay.
And the possibility exists on the lower side with the veterinary clinic and that, but there's a parking lot in the veterinary. So I don't know, it's all speculation about using one of those accesses.
Is the planning for this road underway?
All just discussions, ideas,
Yeah.
there's no.
And
They'd have to
bisect the rail trail.
They'd have to go back to the state anyway to change that access.
But
The
the
state's being a pain in the neck about changing the access that we have already to the library.
while it bisects the goal is interconnectivity ultimately.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
it can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one in Portsmouth has many
mhm.
intersections.
What access is the state having issues with, the 125?
The current driveway access for the urgent care has been in the process for about 2 months now. Not that they have any issue about it, they take forever and you gotta give them all kinds of information about properties next door and all this other stuff. And they haven't made a decision yet that we can change the use of that.
I see.
I think they'll make it eventually,
Yeah.
but it just takes time and
Yeah.
there's a new person in that position, so that makes it even harder.
Is it
It's
your
been
job to deal with
frustrating.
this?
Yes, it's been my job to deal with this. It's been very
Lucky
frustrating.
you.
It's been very frustrating.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Is the anticipated use for the library actually less than it
Yes.
was for the health?
In my letter that I wrote,
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
yes. Like we have definite numbers for how many people currently use library. Now it'll probably go up, but it's a lot less because they were seeing bazillions of pages
Yeah.
every hour. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so many
Hours of
providers.
this.
So yeah, it's just the
It's
whole
not-
thing is stupid, but
It's not
Yeah.
24 hours a day, all
Yeah,
these kind of things are
Okay.
less.
yeah,
Wow.
less.
Clearly, you're dealing with a lot of issues on the library rec center. The one thing that I would encourage you to do is get some kind of a finalized plan from Jack on at least where that, ground mount array has to go so that it can be planned around. Because you don't want to discover that he had one thing in mind and the design committee for this through road has something else in mind and they're both in the same place. So,
Well, I heard there was some pushback about, for other reasons, in terms of expansion of the library or use of the
Yep, that's all been resolved.
fields, that all, okay.
I want to hear
I
it.
am focused. Well, in these couple months, few
but,
months
but
ago.
I would encourage you to get a finalized plan from Jack on the location of that array.
Okay,
That's, yeah. Other than that, have that.
Jim mentioned there's some dead trees that are gonna have to come down too, some big
Yeah.
pines and things, so having those down will protect that solar.
Yeah.
Installation.
Okay, moving on to the SAU. I have sent out, I sent out I spoke with Highland Fleets. I have spoken with, Joe,
Williams.
Joe Williams. I've spoken with Connor. We need to have a joint meeting for all the parties that are involved in potentially using the infrastructure of a charging facility and that are interested in this whole project of having an electric bus fleet, leasing fleet. I've asked Jason to put together that meeting since he has to centrally coordinate the whole thing. He's going to be the largest source of information. This has just gone out recently. I hope to hear back from someone within the next few days. If I don't hear back from Jason, I will bug him again, which seems to be the way things have to go with this. There had been, I may have said this at the last meeting, I'm not sure. There had been no discussion between the SAU and the town being common about a joint facility. So it was never broached. Connor didn't know any of the meetings had taken place. And what I pointed out was that this really needs to be something that the SAU is not undertaking on its own because the town has an interest. It may not work out. But what we do know is that the current parking place for the school buses is not appropriate. They're not going, it's in the town center area. They're not going to be able to stay there. And it's not at the spot where we want to have this infrastructure put in. The options are fairly limited as far as available properties go. One is the middle school, where there is a lot of ground. There's three-phase power. I don't know how amenable the town would be to having its, if it needs these charging facilities at some point, to having them be there. The public safety building would be a good option for charging, but there's not enough room for parking for a bus fleet. So this is going to be, there's going to be some discussion, and it may be that the SAU is going to want to do their thing, and the town is going to say, we're going to have to do our thing, and they'll end up being two completely separate projects, which would be probably a significant waste of money. But we'll see.
So Paul, are you saying like the town and the buses should have like one central charging area, and it would be for say like ambulances and fire trucks and
Whatever
police
the
cars.
town fleet would be.
Yeah, okay.
Which my anticipation is that over time, like all other transportation modalities, the town's going to have to move to an electric fleet.
Right.
We would
Yeah.
like to encourage that, obviously.
Yep.
To have it done sooner, but whether we do or not, at some point in the not too distant future, this is going to happen.
Right. Understood.
And the police are going to, I think it'll be a long time before fire trucks are converted.
Right. Because they're pretty energy
Yeah,
intensive.
but the police fleet, the code enforcement
Yeah.
vehicles, some of the other town vehicles.
Probably the ambulances too. They're not super. Okay.
The question is, when are they going to make those
Yeah.
vehicles?
Yeah.
The police fleet and the
It's
other
just
things
regular
are
cars,
standard
basically.
vehicles.
Yeah.
Those are pretty special purpose. So I don't know what's going to happen.
They have been started making electric fire trucks. They have started doing that.
Have they?
Oh, that's cool.
But there's not many in this country.
Well, yeah,
No,
two
no,
probably,
yeah.
but two more than there used to be.
Yeah.
What is the problem with where the buses are now in terms of power source? So
It's going to be part of the town center. It's just not, you don't want it to be a parking lot for buses.
Isn't the
No
current-
one, I don't
the
think anyone.
current spot for buses
Typical
kind of
place.
near that?
Yeah.
Like,
That would be ugly.
that nice garage.
Well, I think it's,
It's behind Knights.
yeah.
Huh, what
And
is
that- that's the area that the town has purchased
For,
That's
this
on
one.
top, okay.
well, yeah, and that would be nice
Covered
too,
town
but
parking.
still,
Yeah.
we're
no,
gonna surround the town common with solar panels.
that sounds like.
Maybe
I like the Durham model where they have the carport.
Yeah.
Buses can park in the winters,
Yeah.
clear them.
Very
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah, that's a lot to clear and.
I would think the bus drivers would like that. or
Yeah,
whoever
my guess is you can't
maintains it.
justify it based on cost of clearing,
Yeah.
but yeah, oh, maybe.
One accident.
Safety,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, you mean with snow flying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
She
it's
died.
against the law in the state of New Hampshire.
So
You have
what
to
is it,
cover your-
Melanie's Law or something, and it'll.
Yeah.
Jessica,
Jessica's, I think, yeah.
yeah, because I saw the bus would decapitate you for
So
sure.
what do? They have to clean them off now.
Yeah,
That's
legally you have to.
Labor.
More riders, how are they doing it?
I don't know how they're doing it here.
They do. But I
Some
think if you
places have.
costed
booms
that out
that are
over 20
suspended
years, you could
Drive
probably
under them.
Yeah,
make a
maybe.
case that it'd
Yeah.
be cheaper.
Yeah.
Huge.
We'll deal with that when we come to it. We've
Yeah.
got bigger fish to fry before we get to that point. The other thing that I would like to do is, there is what's called a seed grant that has been around for a few years. And it's anticipated that it will continue into the future. It's school energy efficiency development money. And what I would like to do is get ahead of this one. I think that we should put together a plan to apply in the 2025-26 school year for funding at that time. We wouldn't make it for 2024-2025. In order to do this, we're going to want to have audits in place for the school buildings. Now, I spoke to Joe about this. They have a company that's lined up to do it. I asked them to include me in any communications. I've heard nothing about it. But what I'm going to do is, so this is the areas that this grant can cover. I want to push for the audits. Fine if he wants to use his companies for it. They are approved with Eversource for doing this work. And I would like them to concentrate on, what can be done in these areas specifically to apply for the grants. That will give us a lot of time. It will give us a year and a half, basically, to figure out how to go through the application process, put it together, get it submitted, and there'll be some changes because we don't know what the grant program will be in the following year. But we can assume that it'll be pretty close to the existing.
Can they get grant funding for the audits like we did through the rec center?
Or
is it in their budget to do audits?
So this is one of the difficult points. What's the company that works with clean energy?
Resilient.
Yeah, Resilient Building Group. I spoke to them about doing this, and they said they would be happy to work with us on getting grants through Eversource for doing those audits. Joe is not interested in using Resilient Building Group. He wants to use this other company. I will ask him. I will ask him if they will
Pursue grants.
walk through the grant programs with Eversource in a similar fashion. I don't know why they wouldn't, but he didn't mention it. So this is a discussion I'll have with them.
Because budget season's coming up, and so they're gonna, if they're gonna need to pay for it, they'll have to budget for it. For the audits to have them replace for what you need for this grant.
Okay. I have to talk to him anyway, so I'll talk to him about that as well. So these grants are a maximum of 120,000, and it would require, I looked up what category Barrington was in, and they base it on what percentage of students get free lunches.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we actually get into the lowest category of 5% in kind match, which 5% of 20,000 that's not a huge part of the budget.
6,000.
That would be an issue for them. And I don't think, I'm assuming they wouldn't have to do a special warrant article for that level.
I wouldn't think so.
If, so $120,000 doesn't sound like
No, it's
a
not.
huge amount. Would it make sense to focus on the oldest school and just do one audit and,
That's gonna be up to Joe.
okay. I mean, on the other
I
hand,
think it
120
would.
sounds like a lot, but I feel like you could burn through that pretty
Oh,
quick. Yeah.
it's not much at all. My assumption is it will be the elementary school or the,
ECLC is
Yeah.
a pretty, is that right, Jim? That building is,
ECLC,
it's pretty old and,
pretty old, said, built late seventies.
yeah, I bet you that sucker
Yeah.
could use $120,000 upgrade pretty quick.
and it's, I don't think it was, well, you tell me. My impression is that the elementary school was a better quality building.
Better quality building, yes. Yeah. Middle school, they
Yeah.
may be doing the roof on the middle school in the next few years. So that's a good candidate for solar.
And that is included, I'm just reading.
Solar is specifically excluded from these grants. But the fact that they have to do a new roof after it's done is when we want to do
The solar.
Yeah,
Well, maybe you get more insulation,
Yeah.
something short. So,
There would be, right, there would be other things that you can do, but I don't want to dictate to Joe.
Right.
What he should do.
But we could, could we make a polite suggestion?
Yes,
That might be
we
the- okay.
can make plenty of suggestions, but we need to get the audits done before we do.
Sure.
The audit's done.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious.
Right.
Well, I guess I didn't know what the cost of an audit, well, I guess potentially free is what you were saying, but I guess one of the things I was thinking is if each audit's $10,000 and there's 3 buildings and maybe you just want to do one of them but maybe that's not the case. It sounds like.
You're not that, well,
Once again, I don't want to dictate to Joe. My impression is that he's going to do what he wants to do.
Got it.
We can guide him, but for the
Yeah.
most part, we need to take a light touch.
All right.
So I'm sure that he's going to do an audit on the older buildings. We probably won't do one on the middle school. And it's a much newer building.
it's 20 years old.
Is,
I was on the board when we moved in there. I was chairman of the
I
board of
was
school
shocked
board
when
when we
they
moved
told me
into that
that.
building. It's 20 years old, 2004. 2004, we built it.
remember the
We
flights
moved
over
in.
that?
Zero and nine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting old.
2004.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What just
That's what I would like to do as far as the.
You were a freshman in high school, did you say that? Jesus Christ. All right.
We're.
I know, I'm sorry.
We need, and I think this needs to be the general approach that we start taking to grants, is we need to work on them a year, at least a year in advance, because we keep getting, we keep hitting dead ends because we forget about it and all of a sudden everything is due and we can't do it once again and we put it off till the next year and we repeat that cycle. So we really need to start planning for any time we want to do a grant application. We should be doing it at least a year in advance. And then we get into the issue of warrant articles. So then it gets to be a longer cycle, but at least for the seed grant, I think this is a reasonable one to go after. And we're at the right point in the cycle where for the 25, 26 year, we should be able to do it. And we'll see how it goes with the SAU. And I think that was everything I had. Oh, no, I had Doug's. Remember this, Doug?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I knew there was. But I have
So,
another announcement too, which I didn't tell you about.
okay, well, why don't you hit that while I'm trying to find something?
Okay, coming up in October, there's gonna be a public forum on offshore wind. And it's in Portsmouth, but it's regional nature. And it's, the concern was, if you've seen any of the media, there's been a lot of pushback from, folks that don't want offshore wind. fishermen, of course, but also fossil fuel interests. And there's been very detailed analysis of where their funding's coming from and who's behind it. And it's a lot of the usual suspects, the Koch brothers you might have heard of, and others. So anyway, a number of folks wanted to focus on some of the politics and, what's behind all this, as well as the promise. So we came up with the title of The Promise and the Politics of Offshore Wind. So it's October 15th at the Portsmouth Library, Levinson Room. And I'll be speaking. We also have somebody from Conservation Law Foundation and a recreational fisherman.
Could you send out a notification?
Yeah, we don't have all the media together yet, but I wanted to at least give you a heads up, put it on the calendar. 6:30 p.m. on October 15th. That's a Tuesday night, Portsmouth Library. So yeah, I'll get out a more formal announcement. I wanted to give you a heads up.
Great.
To confirm that we're doing it. Oh, and it's sponsored by my group, Seacoast Anti-Pollution League, along with the Portsmouth Democrats and the 350 New Hampshire Climate Action.
Will they be using a Zoom interface as well, or is it in person only?
I think that at this point, it's probably just in person only.
Thank you.
I mean, it would be good. Maybe we can record it or something.
The library probably is set up for that.
Maybe. I don't know. It's been a while. Frankly, I haven't done one there since before COVID. So,
Yeah.
but last I knew, we couldn't even get stuff, like an online
really?
link. I don't know. I'm trying to.
I take it back.
Zoom. You'd think they'd be more up.
Well,
Yeah.
the Barrington Library can do that now, so
Yeah,
maybe
it's
Yeah,
possible.
That's a nice facility.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure they've upgraded it since then. I just remember being really frustrated. It was another offshore wind thing. We had a guy from University of Maine who was like this top expert on it. We couldn't get the audio to work, so he had to call in on the phone. It was awful, So, but that was about 10 years ago now, so hopefully it improved.
Okay,
Anyway, you'll hear more about it.
let's move on to this. This is, so Doug sent me, I think he might have sent it to the whole group. This was an article in In-Depth New Hampshire.
Which, by the way, is based here in Barrington.
Yeah.
The editor is
Gary
based in
Rayner.
Barrington. Well, not Gary, but
Oh, I thought he,
no, the editor, that's first name,
doesn't matter.
lives up on Beauty Hill.
Oh, really?
I don't know her personally.
Anyway.
Gary, I've known for.
This has come about because of the controversy over solar being, implemented primarily by the people who have lots of money. So the government, as part of the IRA, has set aside a significant amount of money nationwide. I think it's on the order of billions nationwide for low-income solar projects. New Hampshire put in an application for funds and got $43.5 million granted to us, the lowest in New England, but nevertheless. Now,
I bet Vermont got more.
they did.
number 6.
They did.
No.
The loan is going to be administered through 3 organizations. There's the Community Loan Fund, which is something with manufactured housing, parks. They're going to convert them into cooperatives. I don't
They
believe.
have been. That's in quite a few here in Barrington are cooperatives. So I'm saying it's an ongoing.
Do we have, so do you know if this would apply? This is something that Matt should probably be asking.
Yeah, I don't know what the specifics were about, but I presume that it's lower income neighborhoods and all that, the same folks that we're targeting.
That we were talking about for the weatherization.
Yeah.
Well, so
But,
this,
a solar home, a mobile home park is obviously a unit or,
I don't,
really only offer it to the the poorest folks living.
Well, no, but so the community loan fund is doing this specifically for manufactured housing parks. And they convert them into cooperatives, and then the cooperatives, the fund can contribute money from this program to putting up solar arrays for those parks. I don't know if any place in Barrington would be happy.
Well, I know there are ones that are cooperatives, one right down the road on 25 for one. I happen to talk to people that live there. I think there's
On
others.
the eastern side?
It's Ambleside mobile home.
I can't think of where.
There's a road there that comes
That's
out.
up. to the traffic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
Goes to Durham,
yeah, through Lee.
right across from the truck garage there, the,
Yeah.
Oh, it
yeah, that
is?
one, Yeah.
That's in-
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe this would be applicable to them.
No, and I don't think they're the only one either.
no,
They are.
But that third paragraph.
Well, so the other one is the New Hampshire Finance Authority. I don't believe that we have anything for workforce housing
Was
projects.
Turbo Cam gonna do that though?
Maybe.
I
man,
haven't heard anything about it.
Well, I know about project. I don't know if they're
Yeah,
getting
there's no,
financed.
there's no
It's supposed to
housing
be.
associated with that expansion.
Well,
Oh,
no,
no, I
they,
thought
this
Turbo
is a
Cam's gonna
separate
do
project, but they want to do workforce
Workforce
housing.
housing.
Yeah, and it would be just behind the existing facility. They bought the land. I mean, they already have. I mean, I just know it's a
That
priority
wasn't,
of.
that wasn't in the plan.
No, it's not. It's not a plan yet. It's just a
idea,
It's an idea.
idea.
Yeah.
Because they realize that half their workforce can't afford to live in.
Yeah.
yeah.
Surrounding.
Well,
areas.
at any rate,
Yeah.
there, I don't think there is any workforce housing that has
Yeah,
been
existing,
built
yeah.
in an organized fashion. I mean, there was that proposal
yeah.
for that new
The
development,
small one, yeah.
but it doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, it's true, but you know, they can be built pretty quick. so
Is it worth
It's works.
sending this article to,
I don't know who we send it to.
There's a cooperative over there on Hall Road.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
that might be in this first category.
yeah, that's slow income.
Low income, yeah.
Yeah, that's, and
Yeah.
not, I will,
Doesn't link.
Yeah.
I will talk to Matt about that, because he's been talking to those people in regards to
Yeah.
weatherization.
Yeah, he has a contact
Yeah.
with the manufactured housing people that is definitely a cooperative model. I can't recall where it is
I
in
didn't
Barrington.
realize he was taking off earlier.
He said he had to watch the debate.
That today.
Well, that's what I said, and then he said it was the local, like a state level debate.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, it's
Yesterday.
not till the 10th.
Today it's the
Yeah.
folks who are running for Congress.
Oh.
State elections, not the president.
Okay, well, anyway, I will send this to Matt and ask him if he could comment on the community. loan
Yeah, it
fund.
just seemed like it ought to fit into what we're already
Yeah.
talking
And
about.
he might know more about the Housing Finance Authority and whether there's any. Those townhouses are not workforce better.
No, they're like
pretty
luxury, right?
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's the third one, which is being administered by the DOE, which seems to be everything else, and I don't really know what that means. But I will look at the DOE site. There should be something about program if it already exists. My suspicion is this doesn't exist.
You being
This
the-
is new. So you sent this, the date on this was
Yeah.
August 10th. There was a vote that took place at one of the New Hampshire Finance Committees a week later. It was approved, which means it should be moving forward, but it takes a while for them to get the rules on these things in
Yeah.
place. So I'll look and see if there's anything on the DOE. DOE sends out tons of emails with their programs. They do it way more often than I can absorb. So I'll look in the latest one and see what's in there, see if it fits up yet. But thank you for sending that out. We'll see if, hopefully some of this will apply. Maybe we can do something. That was all I had. I think. Yep. So 2 weeks from today, meeting is canceled. I will not be here. Next meeting is October 3rd. The photo shoot tentatively is October 7th. We've got 2 more meetings before Election Day. Pull together, do you have any more ideas on what we should have at the table? Put it out there for the next meeting. Your ideas for the survey. That's very important. I would send those out to the group. So I serve as food for thought. And we'll see what we come up with. Anyone have anything else?
Just a reminder that if we email too frequently together, that could be determined to be an unofficial meeting or an unnoticed meeting.
You can
So-
send this as long as it's not commented on. You can send anything out to the email site.
Yeah,
And we're starting to get junk mail sent out, which I don't think there's anything we can.
I think if in the minutes we reflect that, we will collect question ideas for a survey, and at the next meeting, we will present the questions and as a group. decide
Actually,
they-
we should probably vote on that. So can I have, I think that that's the official way that it's to do that. So could I have a motion that the group will contribute ideas through our email site for individual contributions for a survey of the town on what it would like the energy committee to participate in.
So
Second,
Second.
did you get that one?
Okay.
Okay, so we're now officially authorized to contribute.
Well, do we need to vote on
That would be good, wouldn't it?
it?
Vote, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
there'll be no discussion. I mean, I think we
Yeah.
probably could have discussion, but we don't need to have discussion. We'll discuss it at the next meeting.
Right,
So just post your ideas to the
Group email.
to the group.
group email. Okay.
And don't respond.
Yeah.
No, yeah, don't.
I will
Just
not hit
brainstorm it.
reply.
No critiques.
Been screwed with that twice lately.
Well, you can
I'm
respond
not
to
from a
Paul.
corporate environment, so sometimes I get a little
You can respond with thank you,
stuck.
appreciate it, that's all fine.
Okay, I'm just not gonna reply, Paul. Okay.
Okay. In that case, I would propose we adjourn. Thanks, everyone.
Do you say the school one? Or were you somewhere else?